Hello and welcome to Reuzel Live. Happy Halloween. Today is Monday, October 31st. My name is Nicholas Giberson with Reuzel Education. We have a very spooky presentation today, live all the way from Peoria, Illinois. We have Scumbassador Dexter Gouge. Take it away, Dexter.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining in today. Happy Halloween to everybody. It's probably one of my favorite holidays. Today, we have a lovely head of red hair. We're gonna do like a flat top pompadour on. Should be pretty cool. If you guys have any questions throughout the whole thing, please reach out, ask. I'll do my best to answer them for you. As always, we're gonna start out dampening the hair with water. Mixed in with the water is a little bit of the blue hair tonic. My customer already has clean hair this morning, so mostly using that blue tonic is just a good scent. It's full of all those good barber botanicals. So after we get the hair saturated, if you've watched a Reuzel video before, you've heard Rob talk when he's doing a haircut. Whatever you can do with water, you can do with pomade, correct? So this is where you can see how Arties has awesome hair. You can almost start to see that pump come together. So after I have the hair saturated, I'm going to go in, start on my baseline. To find the baseline, you can follow the head shape from the lowest hairline, or you're coming in from the side and top and make a diagonal just to perfect that square shape. And what we're going for today with this haircut is a very square, classic shape. A little bit of modern twist on it. We're going to fade up the bottom, but this is about as classic as you can get, a flat top. So to start out, try to make your sections as clean as you possibly can. Take the time to do it right. Clean sections will result in a clean haircut. All right, so we've got them sectioned out there. I'm going to start off with regular clipper comb. Start off at the widest point of the head, right up above the ear. And what I'm looking for here when I'm creating the baseline, because this is a question we get asked a lot, like how does a baseline work? How do you connect it? So what I'm really looking for here is when I lift the hair up and I pull out to 90. I'm not done then. I also need to connect the hair on the bottom. What I'm doing here is creating a weight line, basically. So start off, clippers closed. I'm going to pull up. I got my first line cut in. What I'm looking for when I'm doing that is if he wanted a high fade or a super low fade, I would have not have made the baseline in the same manner, I should say. If he wanted a high fade, I could have started out by lifting all this hair up higher, putting my comb in further to the head and cutting more hair off. Or if it was a low fade or a taper, I could have taken less hair. So the amount of hair you cut off goes along with how much hair you're leaving on the haircut. So staying square to my head, take a step back. I'll come forward. So when we get into a head like this where there's kind of the fringe bang area hanging down. Be careful with that area, especially on hair like this, because that can just shoot up on you. So I'm gonna lift this hair up, previous cut. I'm gonna go right underneath, looking at the previous cut. And right now I'm just creating a rough draft to go off of. You can see we're already getting shorter. What I'm looking for, like at the bottom of this baseline to connect to, I'm hoping just like my 1.5, 2 guards, that's what I'm setting it up for, just so it blends into that nicely. So as I have my baseline roughed in there, we're going to come around to the other side and repeat the same steps. Add a little bit more water. We will do the same thing to find our baseline. I don't know if you guys have been paying a lot of attention on social media, but we've had some awesome new products come out with Reuzel. We have the new tat line. Most of us Scumbassadors, we have tattoos, so it just fits in with our style. So that's really cool. It's a 4-step process, 4 different items. Works really well. We've had really good results with it, as well as we've recently, I think the new Roach book launches today, which is just an awesome coffee table book to have sitting there. It's a mixture of like a looking book and a comic book all in one. It's pretty awesome. So as I'm getting ready to make this next baseline, if you're not comfortable with this method, most of all of our combs have some sort of indication, little notches on them. So if you want to go ahead and measure your baseline to the notches on the comb to see your length, you can do that. I have a lot of mirrors in my studio, so I can look and see that I'm getting them matched up the same. Again, with clippers closed. Taking a step back. Again, at first, depending on the hair color, texture, you might not see a big change in the hair right away until you start connecting that baseline down. Again, lift up, looking at the previous cut. And this is when the baseline method really clicked with me, and it made sense to the point I started doing haircuts like this every day. It just makes sense to connect. It gives me something to connect my top to. It all comes together. Kind of gives you guidelines in a way. See, we're already starting to get blended in there. So now I'm just going to connect the back here. And right now I'm not doing our typical sectioning scissor cut on this. So I'm not too worried about the sectioning on the back half of the head right now with making my baseline. Since we're going to flat top it, a lot of this is going to be coming off. One last little bit here. Awesome. So as you can see from, the sides through the back, we have our nice shape in, everything lines up, and it's pretty well blended at this point. We have our weight line set in. So next thing I'll do, where we would start out, make our triangle section up top and put our sections in at the crown. But on this haircut, we will not be doing that. Just looking at how the hair is before I start drying process. I'll probably blow dry this haircut twice. The first time's just going to be to get all the hair lifted up. And to do that, he already has really nice hair, but we're going to add a little bit of the grooming tonic, which is just a necessity in the barber shop every day, I think. And we're going to add just a little bit of the fiber gel, mix those two together. What these do, if you combine them, is it just makes it stronger. For a haircut like this, where you want everything lifted up, try to get as much volume as you can. This is your go-to, at least in my opinion. You don't need a lot of grooming tonic or fiber gel. Mix those together. Same thing as when you're putting pomade in. It's not just on the top, but work those products through the hair. Start off on my dominant side as always with my blow dryer as I did the baseline, right-handed, right side. I start off back in the crown area. Get this dry so the hair on the front of the head lays on top of dry hair. Otherwise you're kind of defeating the purpose. Again, I'm just blow drying right now. I'm not going for final shape or anything. I'm just getting the hair dry to cut. Using a vent brush, keeping the hair moving. And part of the reason I'll stop right here that I was saying about leaving those wild hairs that some of our clients have right in here is because now I'm just going to blend them right into the top. If I would have cut them short, they could be poking out right now as the hair goes dry. You can see the side's pretty dry. Getting some really nice volume. Seeing this haircut, you can already start to see that shape we're going to be going for. Now I'll swap hands. Repeat the process on the other side. blow drying that hair in the direction of the style of cut I want. There's definitely a learning curve to blow drying correctly as well. My model here, he's in barber college right now, and yeah, he said, you know, there's an art to blow drying correctly. It's not just blow drying hair. Getting the shape to come together. So we're not 100% dry, but we're pretty heavily dried right now. I already see this haircut, what we're going for. This is when I'll come in and we're going to flat top it. There's many different methods to doing this. I'm going to start out with the flat topper. That's how I do flat tops every day in the shop, and that's what I'm comfortable with. And then I'll come in and refine after. But a flat topper is a great method to remove a lot of bulk at once. When using a flat topper comb, if you're not used to it or not common with it, what I'll be doing is when you put it in the hair, you can make a flat spot, but you got to decide how long you want your top. And a little trick I found is when you push it in the hair, pull it out a little bit, and you'll get more hair up in your comb. So again, just as when I was making my baseline, clippers will be closed. And the amount of hair you cut is all relevant to the style you're doing and what your canvas desires in their haircut. Like I said, this isn't gonna master the haircut for you. This is just getting a base set in, removing a lot of hair at once. So I've got that middle done. I come in, move just a little bit more right behind it. This haircut's actually a lot of fun because it still incorporates that hair, the fenders, comb back on the sides, but it's super easy haircut to style if you have the right hair for it. So when we're coming in to start refining our haircut, doing a flat top style, it's going to be the same as a baseline. Set this down, talk for a minute. So when we pull our hair up, I'll usually start more towards the middle of the hair where I've cut hair off to start matching up to the previous cut as I did when I was connecting my baseline. Wait for some of the hair to start falling, showing that I'm at the previous cut. Hands are a little shaky, you know. It's been a minute since I've done a live, and whenever you're talking in front of people, even though it's a camera lens, it still gets to you. So we've got that side roughed in. I'll do the same thing here on this other side. Again, previous cut, but I'm elevating my comb up in front to make that wedge shape that we're going for because it's still a pompadour. I've got kind of both sides locked in. I'll start coming at it through the front, working my way back. Lifting my comb out. I'm just going to kind of work side to side. Do you guys get to cut many flat tops in the shop? Is that a haircut that's common to you? Or is this something completely foreign? Before I started working with Reuzel, I was always hooked on the classic cuts from the beginning. They've always sparked my interest. I used to wear one myself when I had a lovely head of hair, but unfortunately that fell out early on in life. After we get a little bit more of this hair knocked down, after the second blow drying process, you'll see more of this hair come together, and that's when I'll come through and more freehand the top. Again, right now I'm mostly just matching up, looking at previous cut sections. And working from side to side like this, it's just a form of cross-checking, as if you're doing it with shears instead of clippers during a normal haircut. Just coming at it from different sides, angles, just to double check yourself. And as you start getting your hair cut down to the length you want, good rule to look for is start looking for dark spots. Your dark spots are going to be heavy, typically be longer. Although when we are finished with this haircut, I will go through with some blending shears on the top just to redefine it more. So now before we go too much further, this is when you can come through just like if you were shear cutting the top of a hair. Start looking, see how off you are, see how on you are. As far as I see on these sides, we're looking really good. The bangs, I'm going to even up just a little bit more. But with this flat top pump that Matt wears, his hair, he still kind of combs the bangs back. So it's not a full on quiff, wedge looking haircut. As you can see, looking pretty good. So I'm going to even up just a little bit more. In this bang area. So I'm going to blow dry the top one more time to lock in my shape now that the hair's cut down. As Matt's hair grows out, we haven't cut it like this short in a while because we've been letting it grow out for this live. But as he gets weight, his hair kind of wants to do some funky things. So there was a lot of length coming off the top of his hair compared to usual.
Hey, Dexter, we got a question.
Yep.
The question is why didn't you stick with the flat topper when you were cutting the top down?
I feel I'm more accurate with a clipper comb. The flat topper is just a guide to remove a lot of weight at once, a lot of hair at once, and I don't feel it's as accurate to do a whole flat top with, in my opinion. Now I'm going to come in with a regular Denman brush. Now since my hair is already pretty well dried, this is a great tool to use to start locking in a shape. Again, but saying that if you were going to cut something looser, like a loose pompadour or something with a lot more texture in it, I wouldn't use the Denman every day. Those cuts are getting super popular. I love them. With these old classic cuts that have more of a slick, fine look to them, these brushes really help a lot. Again, come around to the other side here. When I'm teaching classes in person, one of the questions I get asked quite a bit is, how do you get people to want a pompadour, to want a flat top? It's all the vibe of the shop you give off. You bring in what you create. I'm very fortunate to have customers coming in requesting haircuts like this. I think it's pretty awesome. It's something that keeps me motivated every day to keep trying to get better. See, his hair is standing up a lot nicer. Now we got some length off of it. Creating a good pompadour or a haircut like this isn't always about how much hair you leave. While I'm blow drying, I'm also hitting the cold button on my blow dryer just to kind of lock in the hair. So as you can see here, besides the grooming tonic and a little bit of fiber gel we blow dried in, we have not added any pomade yet. And we already have this haircut coming together. We're going to redefine the top a little bit, but you can see we've already got that shape. So you can see we've got some long hairs back here we're still going to trim down. But this is still just our rough draft.
Hey, Dexter, just checking in with you.
Yes, sir.
Just letting you know we've got viewers all the way from Canada, Guatemala, the US, Philippines, and all over the place in Europe.
Amazing. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for tuning in. If you're typically have Mondays off, thanks for tuning in, hanging out with me. And all I'm doing right now, again, I'm just redefining. And this is a super cool haircut, in my opinion, on the correct canvas. You know, there's the crown, the crazy crown we was talking about. You shouldn't cut off. The right haircut, you can. It can look amazing. But otherwise, yeah, be careful back here. It gets dangerous. So I redefine. I'm just going to work from the sides once more until we get into the fading. Again, just looking for the high points. I'm really happy with the length. This is also, I was really excited to do this haircut today. There's always that question, you know, about tools, you use shears, you use combs, whatever. This is an awesome haircut because I'm still going to use blending shears a little bit, but this haircut's mostly done with clippers without a guard. So I think that's pretty cool to have that in your toolbox to be able to offer for the time that somebody comes and sits down in your chair wanting this haircut. So before I redefine the top with my blending shears, because that's going to be in the final step of blending up the sides, we're going to leave the top alone for now, and I'm going to come in and fade the bottom. So start off with my 1.5 guard. Something else I found very important is chair height. You know, when you're starting out or you're just not comfortable with it, you don't want to be pumping the people up and down all day. But I'm not a very tall guy, but when it comes to fading, I like to lift them up a little bit so everything's staying square with my chest as when I was making the baseline or cutting the top. So I'm going to come in with a 1.5 guard open. And I'm working up to my baseline, not cutting into it. Speaking of Reuzel products, love to know what you guys' go-to is. I'm really loving that the line is branching out, carrying more stuff every day. We're covering a lot of lines of the male grooming and or female for that, and depending on the hairstyle you have. Something else that I'm a huge fan of that I've turned several customers on to that do love it is the R&R, the skincare line. I use it every day. Absolutely love it. I think it's awesome to be able to put that out there to offer people more stuff, that don't style their hair. There's still products for you. So now I'm going to go down to my 1 guard. So I skipped the step. I did close up my 1.5 there at the end. But I'll start off with my 1 guard open. And my client, after this, is actually trying to grow his hair out a little bit. So thank you to him for letting me cut off all of his progress so far. It's pretty cool when you have a client sitting in your chair that is cool with leaving some length on, even the sides. I really love that. We all know how it is in the middle of July. Skin fades every week. Now I'm going to close up my one. When you're working in these tighter areas, I prefer just to use like corner edge of my blade. Again, just connecting to what I've made underneath. Here I'm just tapering in the sides. No matter the length of the haircut, I think they look a little nicer tapered in. So I'm just going to redefine. You can see there's a few spots I'm just going to choose to do with clipper over comb. A few darker areas in here. So as my clipper's closed again, just going to feed in, look for that previous cut, just clipper over comb that. I feel that doing this work clipper over comb is a little safer. It's more forgiving. Definitely probably a better word for that. All right. So we'll be coming in after I fade this other side and use some blending shears up through that. But we'll go ahead and jump on the other side, do the same process. Again, start off with 1.5 open. Just working up to the baseline, not into it. Close up the clippers a little bit, right underneath. Go down to my one guard. So I'm kind of scatterbrained all the time and I like to talk. And this is one of the coolest things that I really like to see in a haircut is seeing both sides really match up, come together in the back of the head. That's just really satisfying to see her finally see everything come together. Close my clippers. I'll go ahead and taper up the nape section of this haircut. Show off my clippers closed. We know that we did a 1 guard, so we know we can take that taper a little bit higher. Now I have my clipper open. It's going up about an inch. Depending on the size of your inch, I guess. Make it look right. Don't overcomplicate it. So on his hair, it's hard to see probably in the lighting, but us as barbers, cosmetologists, stylists, you can see that in the right lighting that we still have just a faint line. That's when I'll leave it to close my clippers just halfway. And just hit that line, take it out. Lastly, use my half guard. Just have my half guard open. Might shut it about halfway. It's here at the bottom. Awesome. Taper in the sideburn just a little bit. So just going to clip rubber comb a little bit of this again, just the darker areas, and we'll be ready for some blending. See how soft, it just makes such a soft transition getting rid of those heavy spots where you could be jumping around trying to figure out what guard to use. I'm a very minimal barber. I don't like my station cluttered, so less is more in my daily work. Just remove a little bit of hair there in the C cup area. Awesome. Now we're ready for some blending shears. I'm going to use these for the name of them, blending. I'm not going in here to thin or bash out the hair, any misconceptions that come with that. So I'm going to comb the hair, getting it in the shape that I want so I can see how it lays. I'm coming in here with a purpose with it. You should always have a purpose with a tool in your hand. So I'll start off on where I'd make the baseline, widest point of the head. And as I'm coming up, my comb is coming out. I'm following that head shape. I'm not camping out. Now I can pull some of this hair out, and you can see when I pull it out, we have some high spots in there. These blending shears will remove that without creating a blunt line, creating movement in the hair.
Hey, Dexter, we got some product recommendations for your flat top pompadour there.
Yes, sir.
We've got blue and pink combinations, pink and concrete. We've got some red pomades. So all across the spectrum of hold and finishes for you to choose from.
Absolutely. Everyone that recommended an oil-based pomade, I love it. Those are my favorites. Definitely for the most classic. Unfortunately, my client's skin does not hold up well to an oil-based pomade. And so we will be using more of a matte product, but I do appreciate all that. I liked where your heads were going. As I'm working down low here, I'm just looking for dark spots. I think we're looking pretty good. So as we work towards the top, I'm going to float my comb over the top and look for high spots and even them up with my blending shears. After a few clicks with your shears, keep them moving. So we're not taking off a whole lot. You start seeing how smooth of transition that's creating by taking some weight out. I'm constantly coming back and combing the hair, checking how it's all laying, see if I'm removing enough, hopefully not too much. Even when it gets down into the more fade part of these haircuts, use your smaller teeth and work up. All right, now we'll work across the top, this side. One last little thing I'll do. It's right behind the fringe area. I'm gonna come in, cut from the top third of his hair. That's just removing some weight out of his hair, making it a little bit easier to stand up. Just going to repeat the same process I did on both sides here. The back of his hair is working up. It's a pretty dark and gloomy day here, Central Illinois. Hopefully the weather is a little bit nicer for you where you are. If you prefer that, I kind of like these dark, rainy days myself. Nice Halloween weather. All right, we are finished with our blending shears, and I am going to use trimmers, edgers, whatever you prefer to call them. Clean up this haircut. I'm just going to go up to the lines. I'm not making new lines, especially in this C cup area. Redefine it, make it look good, but don't create new lines that come back in 2 weeks. That gets kind of messy. Make it nice and clean around the ears. Good lines, people always notice, even on lighter hair like this. Again, just following that natural hairline. Repeat the process on the other side here. Again, thank every one of you for tuning in today. Awesome. How are we doing on time, Nick?
Right on time, rounding out the hour here.
Awesome. Well, the product that I'm going to choose today for this haircut that my client uses every day is the Reuzel Extreme Hold. As far as like the matte products, any other pomade, I love the greases. For something matte for a haircut like this where you need some hold, I think this is a great option. Just going to use a fingertip. I always have a habit of grabbing more than I need, so I end up like wiping half of it off, but you know, I'll master that one day. As I start working it into the hair, as you can see, I'm not just doing like it's done. I have it all over my hands, emulsified. I'm going to start working his hair in every direction. You can see I still have plenty. And for this top area, you want a haircut to really stand up. One thing I found is to really work the pomade in there. Be aggressive with your client's head, but don't hurt him too bad. So I've got pomade in. Come in with my pick. Just start lifting all the hair up. I like using a pick when I first start out styling most haircuts with some length. Since it's a wider teeth on the pick, doesn't pull as bad as we just start running a comb through. This will help spread the product. So I get it worked all the way through his hair. And just redefining everything with the comb. These haircuts are always super cool too. As everybody thinks they need hair short all over. It's amazing going from this much hair to below, I don't know, like a 3 guard or a 2 guard in there. It's pretty cool. Does anybody else have any questions while I'm styling my model up?
No questions. Been a relatively quiet group today. Lots of happy Halloweens and looking good's looking great. So,
Well, I appreciate all those. I could sit here and comb hair all day. That's probably I wouldn't necessarily say a downfall, I guess, but I'll definitely be taking some pictures of this haircut, posting it on Instagram and the Reuzel page. You guys make sure to check that out. Along with all these classics, I always love to throw a little DA in the back there. Really makes it pop and come together. So I'm pretty happy with the styling. Gonna lift that front up just a little bit more, the afro pick. Clean up the nape area. In my everyday work, I generally use a straight razor to shave necks. But for this case, if you're not licensed to use a straight razor, you come in with a foil box shaver. Just clean up the neck down the skin. I think a clean neck and a well tapered haircut always looks good. And then the last thing I will use, it's one of my favorites, the Reuzel Astringent Foam. I use this a lot. Smells good. Doesn't have a crazy sting to it like your normal aftershave would, but it's very cooling and soothing, especially in the hot summertime. Clients come in the shop if they're sweaty. This will help dry them up. Always checking my work in the mirror. The mirror will never lie to you. You look at something long enough, you'll start thinking it looks good. Clean up a few little strays there. Awesome. Do we have any questions, Nick, before I wrap things up here? This is my flat top pompadour mix, fade on the sides. It's a little bit of fenders coming back to the DA area. Hope all of you guys have really enjoyed it.
no questions on our end. The haircut looks great. And Thanks everyone for tuning in. Happy Halloween. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next week, November 7th, with Scumbassador Katie Dixon live on our demonstrations next week. Be safe out there. We'll see you next week.